Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. And the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network can be heard as always on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, on Stitcher, on Podcast Addict, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and on TuneIn. We're also on YouTube. You can go to my Twitter page at Digital25, and you can also hear it on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast page on Facebook as well. So we're growing by leaps and bounds, the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. A lot to talk about this week as we had a result come in this past Saturday featuring one of our top Beltway boxers. And also we have a couple of bouts coming up in the very near future. We also have a bout that's not going to take place, and there's a very interesting story as to why that bout won't take place for one of our Beltway boxers. And this week's historical look, we're going to look at a boxer who has done so much in the Beltway. And I don't think he really gets the credit for it. He's never really gotten the credit for it. And he does other things as well. But no one has done so much within the Beltway with very little assistance, if not any assistance at all. He's done an outstanding job of doing. We're going to talk about him. And I do want to pay homage this week to a very, very, very special man in my life who did pass away earlier this week. So we're going to talk about that as well. The Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network brought to you as always by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain to muscle strain, everything in between, Boxing on the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief. Natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief, now endorsed by heavyweight champion Big George Foreman. So you can try his George Foreman's knockout formula by going to realtimepainrelief.com. Go rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. Real-time pain relief. Also, we're brought to you by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods. All at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Well, this past Saturday, August 8th, Mykal the Professor Fox of Upper Marlboro, the welterweight, he lost a 10-round unanimous decision to Lucas Santamaria of Garden Grove, California. That was at the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, California. The bout was nationally televised by FS1. Now, Fox, who's, of course, one of the Twin Towers, along with his brother Alantez, he being 6'4", he normally does not have a lot of difficulty with shorter fighters. But this time, the 5'8" Santa Maria got inside a lot, and Fox couldn't keep him off him. In the first round, Santa Maria was able to pressure Fox, and he knocked him down to the bottom rope with a series of punches. Fox didn't go all the way down to the canvas, but the referee ruled correctly. Edwin Hernandez Jr., referee ruled correctly that the rope saved Fox from going completely down to the floor. He ruled the knockdown, and that was the first time that Mykal Fox had been dropped to the canvas in his pro career. Now, later on in the bout, Fox was able to get some distance, and he was able to keep Santa Maria off a little bit, but not well enough to keep him off for the entire fight. And Santa Maria was able to win the bout by scores of 96-93, which I see, 97-92, which I thought was a little skeptical, but 99-90 was ridiculous. No question about it. No way that Fox only won just one round. That was ridiculous. Fox, who came into the bout ranked 14th in the world by the WBA, he drops to 22-2, 5 KOs. It was kind of a tough loss for Fox. And Santa Maria rises to 11-1-1 with 7 KOs. So, again, a tough loss for Mykal Fox in Los Angeles back on Saturday, August the 8th. Now, the other half of the Twin Towers, Alantez Sliza Fox, he was scheduled to be on a card coming up this coming Saturday, August 15th, at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut. However, I checked on BoxRec just before I went on the air, and I didn't see the bout. So I don't know if it hadn't been added yet or whether or not it was taken off. I'm not sure. But Alantez Fox, who's 26-2-1, 12 KOs, he's scheduled to be in an 8-round middleweight contest against the Wild Hurricane, Habib Ahmed of Accra, Ghana. He's 27-1-1 with 18 KOs. Now, Fox looks to bounce back from a 5th-round TKO loss to Liam Williams back on December 21st in London, England. Ahmed is a former WBO super middleweight title contender. He lost a chance for the title when he got knocked out by Gilberto Ramirez in February of 2018 in Corpus Christi, Texas. Now, since that loss, Ahmed has won 2 straight, including an 8-round unanimous decision win over Juan de Angel back in May of 2019 in Biloxi, Mississippi. So we'll see what happens there as Mykal Fox is scheduled to be coming up on August 15th at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut. So we'll see what happens there. Now, coming up this week, next couple weeks, James Too Slick Early. He's out of Seat Pleasant, Maryland. He is the super featherweight. He is scheduled to participate in a 6-round contest for the vacant American Boxing Federation Atlantic Super Featherweight title. I don't know. It's a very minor title. I have no idea what that's all about. That'll be on Saturday, August 22nd at the Bonita Springs Elks Lodge in Bonita Springs, Florida. Now, Early is 4-6. However, he's going to get this title shot despite the fact that he has lost his last 3 bouts. That includes a 6-round unanimous decision loss to James Wilkins on January 11th in San Antonio, Texas. He also lost to Brima Jawara back in February. Last year he lost to Brima Jawara at Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland. The opponent for this bout for James Early would be Curtis Hard Knocks Johnson of New Orleans, Louisiana, by way of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Johnson is 11-0, 8 KOs. He comes off an 8-round split decision win over Jose Antonio Martinez on September 6th in New Orleans. Now, Johnson has only beaten one boxer in his career with an over 500 record. So despite his nice-looking record, we don't know how good he is, in all honesty. And Early will get a chance to test him on August 22nd when they meet for a 6-round bout for the vacant American Boxing Federation Atlantic Super Featherweight title. And that'll be on Saturday, August 22nd at the Bonita Springs Elks Lodge in Bonita Springs, Florida. Now, don't forget about Friday, August 28th. Friday, August 28th in the Fantasy Springs Resort and Casino in Indio, California. That's where Lamont Roach Jr., the super featherweight out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, he will look to bounce back from his 12-round unanimous decision loss for the title shot against Jamel Herring for the WBO Super Featherweight Championship back in November. He will take on Neil John the Beast Tabanao of Mandao City, Cebu, Philippines. That's 17-7, 11 KOs for Tabanao. Roach is 19-1-1 with 7 KOs. Now, Tabanao will look to break a 3-bout losing streak. He's coming off a 10-round unanimous decision loss to Irving Turbiartes. That was on August 24th in Hermosillo, Mexico. We talked about this a little bit last week. Now, 2 of Tabanao's recent losses came to both Angelo Leo and Tremaine Williams. And, of course, Leo defeated Williams earlier this month to win the vacant WBO Junior Featherweight Championship in Uncasville, Connecticut at Mohegan Sun. Now, that bout is scheduled to be streamed on DAZN. It's a Golden Boy Promotions card, and that's scheduled to be on DAZN. That's on Friday, August 28th at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Resort and Casino, in Indio, California for Lamont Roach Jr. Now, one bout we talked about last week apparently will not happen. And there's a lot of strange reasons why this won't happen. It's a very interesting situation. I got to thank media personality by the name of Claire Burke, who, by the way, is the vice president of the American Boxing Federation. That's kind of weird how that happens, but this bout has nothing to do with that. Now, it involves undefeated Baltimore, Maryland super middleweight Lorenzo Truck Simpson, and he's out of what could have been a very toxic situation for him. Now, Simpson was 8-0, 5 KOs. He's off a card that was scheduled to be on Saturday, August 29th at the Mississippi Coast Convention Center in Biloxi, Mississippi. The card that was scheduled to be televised by the CBS Sports Network. Now, Claire Burke has found out that the card was canceled in Mississippi. In fact, the Mississippi Boxing Wrestling Commission, did cancel this card. Now, the reason why they canceled the card is because the promoter of the card, Bigger Than Life Entertainment, they still owe fees related to the last card that was on July 11th, same place, Mississippi Coast Convention Center, that was also nationally televised by CBS Sports Network, and a card that Simpson did fight on. He scored a first-round TKO on that card against Alexandro Duarte. Now, Claire Burke is reporting that many of the boxers, possibly including Simpson, I'm not sure, but possibly including Simpson, did not get paid for the card, and the promoters, Bigger Than Life Entertainment, did not pay their venue or the matchmaking booking fees. And that is why this card will not happen in Mississippi. is strange. It's unfortunately a more common tale than we think. I know back in the day here in this area, we had a lot of promoters who did that, which is why they were only one-shot promoters. Many of them because they did not pay their venue fees. Some didn't pay the boxers. They didn't pay the fees they needed to pay to have cards. And so that happened. That happened a lot in the 90s, especially. Doesn't happen as much now, thank goodness. But that's also a reason why there's a lot of the venues that used to be used by promoters, especially in Maryland, are no longer being used. I mean, we don't use much of the Showplace Arena. Martin's Crosswinds fell under that. Another LaFontaine Blue in Baltimore, not in Baltimore, I'm sorry, LaFontaine Blue in Lanham, Maryland, had to do with that as well, because the promoters just would not pay their fees. So that happened a lot in the 90s here. Now, the card itself will be moved to Davenport, Iowa. So that's where the card will be held. And that makes this story a little bit crazier. And here's why. Now, Davenport, Iowa, some of you old boxing fans may know that Davenport, Iowa has one special boxing, I would say legend, in all honesty. He was a great fighter, no question about it. Davenport, Iowa is the hometown of the former two-division world champion by the name of Mykal Second to None. And he was a great fighter. He won titles in both the middleweight and the super middleweight division. I never forget his knockout win over Sumbu Kalambe, a tremendous win. I think it was on HBO. It was a tremendous knockout. Now, Nunn has not fought since January of 2002, and many of you probably know the reason why. Mykal Nunn had been serving a long prison sentence for drug trafficking, and he just got out of prison back in 2019, last year. I think it was January 2019. And Nunn is now 57 years of age. However, Mykal Nunn is scheduled to be on this card coming up in Davenport, Iowa on August 29th. He's scheduled to take on Samuel Clarkson of Texas, of Dallas, Texas. Now, as crazy as it is just on the surface of Mykal Nunn at 57 years old, getting into the ring, that's bad enough. But he's getting into a ring against a guy that has been challenging and trying to challenge for a world title in now the cruiserweight division. This is where Nunn is right now. He's in the cruiserweight division, such as it is. And he is scheduled to fight a guy that is really, I won't say on the upswing because he has some tough losses, but he really is still active. He's not someone who has fought and taken some time off. This is an active pro fighter that Mykal Nunn is scheduled to take on. So Claire Burke says she's going to try to call the Iowa Commission to see if this card can be canceled all the way. And none of these bouts will take place. But that's where it stands right now. But thank goodness Lorenzo Truck Simpson is not involved with that anymore. And that is a very, very good thing to hear. So I'm glad he's not involved with that. Now, there's scheduled to be what is called a quarantine show on Saturday, August 22nd. It's going to be at the Main Street Gym in Salisbury, Maryland. Now, I have not been told yet whether this is a amateur card, a pro card, a pro-am card. I'm not sure. I'm recognizing some of the names on there. TJ Modern is on the card. I think he's turned pro. But however, there are people like Deshaun Chase, who I don't think, unless he's making his pro debut on this card, has not turned pro yet. There's another guy I recognize, his name Marquise Hines, who I believe has turned pro. So I'm not sure if this is a pro-am, pro show or what, but it's going to be a quarantine show, so I assume no fans will be in attendance. It'll be held at the Main Street Gym in Salisbury, Maryland on Saturday, August 22nd. As soon as we get more information about that, we'll let you know. Hopefully by next week's podcast, we will let you know about when and how that card is going to take place. That'll be our first card in this area since February. So we do have some cards coming up hopefully in the fall, if all goes well. But if COVID permitting, we'll see if we can get these cards in at the in fall in Virginia. Now, one of the promoters that that may be involved when COVID gets lifted, when our restrictions get lifted, is the guy we're going to talk about today. And this is a guy who has done so much, and his contributions to boxing in this area have not really been honored the way they should be. And he's done it as a boxer himself. He's done it as a promoter, and he's done it as a matchmaker too. He's done some outstanding work in the boxing area in this area, and he should deservedly be honored for that. We're going to try to do that today. His name, Tony Jeter. As a boxer, he was known as Tony Mo Better Jeter. Now, one of the first things we had to worry about was getting people to pronounce his name correctly, because I remember I used to write when he first started boxing. He'd write his name out. It was Jeter, which a lot of people can call Jeter. So I had to put Jeter, and I would say pronounced Jeter. It's very interesting how we did to do that. But Tony Jeter is a guy that has, again, done so much. He is fighting out of Columbia, Maryland, Stevensville, Maryland as well. And he has done so much in this business. And again, he just hasn't gotten the credit for it. Now, he made his pro debut as a boxer on January 25th, 2001. Took on Irvin the Quiet Storm Fuller at Michael States Avenue, Glen Burnie, Maryland. Scored a first round knockout in that bout. And he was that time being managed by J.D. Brown. And so J.D. Brown, of course, had ties to Sugar Ray Leonard, and good choice at that particular time. Okay, so he would come up and he would fight. He scored a third round knockout over Donald Bynum in July 2nd, 2001, at the Lincoln Theater in Washington, D.C. Now, the first time I got a chance to watch Tony Jeter was in his third pro fight when he fought Curtis Wilkins on March 30th, 2001. And the bout took place at Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware. Now, the reason why I was up there was because our late managing editor, Flat Top, asked me to go up to Dover and actually help break in a Fight News reporter there who was covering his first bout. His name was Rick Schomburg, very good friend of mine now. And I went up there to help him kind of get acclimated to covering a boxing show. So it was a good thing for myself, my family, my mom, my dad went up there with me, along with another member of my wife's family. And we were all the way up there. They went to play the casino, and I went to go to the fight. So it worked all the way around, and it was very good. And so Tony Jeter fought in this fight. First time I ever met him. Really, I don't think I've ever met him prior to that. And so I had a chance to meet him. And in that fight, he actually fought to a no contest against Curtis Wilkins. The bout was stopped in the second round. So that was my first connection to Tony Mo Better Jeter. Now, Jeter went on. He knocked out Richard McCombs in the first round in June of 2001. And then he suffered his first loss in Philadelphia against Kwame Bumpus. That was on October 5th, 2001. He lost a 4-round unanimous decision. Now, he would come back and he would fight at what was then called the BXF gym in Millersville, Maryland, against Lawrence Frisbee. He won a second-round TKO in that bout, his first 6-round bout. That was on October 7, 2005. Now, the BXF gym would later become a gym that Tony's wife, Kristen Jeter, would own at one point. And so that's where that worked. Now, the next time he fought at the BXF gym was on December 2nd, 2005. And he fought a guy named James Shedrick. I believe Shedrick was out of Philadelphia. And Shedrick knocked out Jeter in the 4th round. And it did a lot to him. And I tell you, he usually got on me because that was the last point of reference that I had with Tony. So I didn't know much to say about him other than he got knocked out by James Shedrick. And it was really a point of contention with him. And actually, Jeter took off almost 3 full years before he came back to the ring. And he came back on April 18, 2008, and he scored a first-round knockout over Pete Guthrie as the National Guard Army. I think by that time he was no longer with J.D. Brown, so he was pretty much an independent person. And that's where Jeter's story really starts to try to take shape, because he was working things himself. He was promoting himself. He was getting himself to fights, and it really started to work very well for him down the road. He'd come back. He would win against Chris Cook on September 19th, 2008 at Millersville Sportsplex, another location in that area. And he won a 4-9 decision there. He would score 3 straight knockouts before having a technical draw against Lawrence Jones at the Patriot Center, the Eagle Bank Arena now, back on July 10th, 2010. Against Lawrence Jones, they had a clash of heads, and Jeter had a large gash along the right side of his head. So that was a technical draw there. There were 2 more wins over Adrian Redmond, Mike McPhail. He actually won 3 straight. He come back on December 17th, 2011 against Jose Felix. Now, Jose Felix had an under 500 record going in. It was for a minor title, and Jeter surprisingly lost that bout by 5th round TKO. If I remember correctly, Tony Jeter was not feeling well that particular week, and he really had a tough time functioning in that bout. And that was a tough loss for him, no question about it. It was a tough loss, and he would lose that bout. He came back, and on February 5th, 2012, Club One Fitness, which was the former BXF gym, now Club One Fitness, in the gym that his wife Kristen would own. He won an 8-9 decision over Jose Felix to win a minor title. Now, by this point, Jeter had gotten into the promotional aspect of the business. He started promoting his own shows with him sometimes as the headliner, and he would promote some really, really solid shows back in those days. He really would do an outstanding job in promoting. So then on June 8th, 2013, Jeter will be on the card against Jimmy LeBlanc. Now, this is a card that I've talked about numerous times. It's a card that was arguably one of the worst cards I've ever covered in the Beltway. Gervonta Davis was on this card, as a matter of fact. And every win except for the main event, which was 2 women who fought in it was a 10-round bout. Lisa Garland was on that card, and that was the only bout that I won't say even saved the show. It was definitely the best bout of the night. But every bout other than that lasted 1 round, and it was just awful. No question about it, just awful. And that bout went to a no contest, and it was a situation. I believe Jimmy LeBlanc got hit as he was knocked down, or it was not. I think he got hit low, and the whole bout went down the tubes. There, it was just a terrible, terrible night. No question about that. Now, Jeter would come back, and he would get himself involved with the WBC, and he would have the WBC Fecker Box titles in this area. He would promote some great shows and put together some great shows, some including himself, but also just some great bouts. No question about this, some tremendous bouts. And his bout against Terrell Brown on August 3rd, 2013 was one of the cards he promoted, and he would win the WBC Fecker Box Middleweight Championship. That was against Terrell Brown on August 3rd, 2013. And that led to a pretty big bout for him. And again, Jeter's doing this all on his own. He's not getting any help from anybody. He's making the right connections, putting together good fights for himself and for others, and he's doing things the right way. And he went up against Patrick Nielsen out of Denmark. And the fight took place, I believe, in Denmark. It wasn't Denmark. On February 15, 2014. And Jeter would lose by 2nd round knockout in that bout. He would come back, and I think I'm missing a bout here, actually. He had a bout, actually, back in 2012, before we even get to that Nielsen fight. He had a bout back in 2012 that everybody talked about. We did talk about this on the podcast way back. In fact, it's one of the bouts that was one of the best bouts in history. Back in 2012, when he beat Jimmy Lang for the first time at the Eagle Bank Arena, Patriot Center, back in those days. And that was an outstanding bout that Jeter could have been disqualified, but he really fought very, very well in that particular bout. And that was the first bout between himself and Jimmy Lang. So then he had the Terrell Bound fight. Patrick Nielsen was a tough bout for him, but he would come back at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. He'd win a first-round knockout over Guillermo Valdez for the defending his Fecker Box middleweight championship and winning the vacant USVA Virginia State middleweight championship. Then on November 15, 2014, Jeter would have the rematch against Jimmy Lang, and that would be once again at the Patriot Center, now Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia, on the campus of George Mason University. Tougher bout, but Jeter was really, I think, more in control of this bout than he was in the first bout, and he would win a 10-round majority decision. Joseph Cooper called the bout even 95-95, but he was overruled by judges Brian Costello and Mark D'Antio, who scored about 97-93 and 99-91, respectively. And Jeter would win the NABA USBA middleweight championship. He would win a first-round knockout over James Waker in December 6, 2014, by the way, that Jimmy Lang bout, if I didn't say it, November 15, 2014. Then on March 28th, 2015, Jeter would score a second-round TKO over Jerry Martz at the ABC Sports Complex, Springfield, Virginia. And then his final bout would be for the interim WBA middleweight championship against Chris Eubank Jr. in Sheffield, England. That was on October 24th, 2015. And Jeter would lose by a second-round knockout. And that would end his career. He would be 20 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw. And I know there's some knockouts in there somewhere, but I don't have them right in front of me. But I think he knocked out 11 people, 11 knockouts in his career. And he had not a tremendous career, but he did have an exciting career. We'll say that. Let me see if I can count this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 knockouts. 13 knockouts. 13 knockouts, 20 Jeter. So 20 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, 13 knockouts. But he got opportunities that other boxers, if they were trying to do it on their own, may not be able to do it. Jeter does have a great gift of the gab, and I think the first bout against Jimmy Lang, they let Jimmy do all the promotional aspects of it. He did all the interviews, and Jeter was kind of the man on the sidelines. And Jeter, I should say, Lang talks outstandingly. He does a great job. He really knows how to do interviews, but Jeter does as well. Some of his interviews can be a little bit on the controversial side. He's done some with me that I had to really kind of cut out because he said some things that I couldn't let go. And I really should have stopped him when he said it. And I didn't do that. But he really is a great person to work with. He really is. And when he went full-time to promoting, he really has done a tremendous job. He has taken over where Keystone left off. He has promoted a lot of great young boxers in the Beltway. He's given them opportunities to fight. The Dante Coxes, the Brima Jawaras, the Jerome Quigley's. He's given these guys outstanding, these just name a few, but he's given these guys outstanding opportunities to fight. And in fight in pretty good places. He is one promoter who has promoted literally all over the Beltway. He's been in D.C. He was at North Hall Eastern Market in D.C. He was in Maryland at the Gardens Ice House. He has been in Springfield, Virginia, the ABC Sports Complex. A lot of those cards he did there with a co-promoter named Dr. Richard Ashby. And now he's had a home at the Maryland Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland. He's done 5 shows there. His last one was in February of this year. And they've all been outstanding shows. And they've always had good crowds as well. He's just done a marvelous job. He really has. And he should be credited for it. And he's doing it now as he is not only has a family with his wife, Kristen. I think they have 2 children now. And he's also a police officer in Baltimore. He's joined the Baltimore City Police Force. So with all that around him, he has done so much with this business. And I'm proud of him. I look at him with a lot of pride because he always complains that he doesn't get the credit he deserves. And I think that's true to a point. I really do. I think that's true to a point. But he's an outstanding man. I love working with him, in all honesty. I really do. We've become very good friends outside the business. And I just think I just love the way he does his work. He has a lot of enthusiasm around it. He's very easy to talk to. He'll talk your ear off sometimes, but he's very easy to talk to. And he's just done a wonderful job. And I honor him because I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. And I really believe that he needs to start getting more credit for being the outstanding boxer, promoter, and man that Tony Mo Better Jeter is. So that's my tribute to Tony Mo Better Jeter, an outstanding boxer, promoter, but even a better promoter and matchmaker. Now, finally, I have to give this tribute today because I've just had a kind of a sad situation, actually a very sad situation in my personal life. Man, I have dearly respected for almost 30 years. Passed away early this week, this past Monday, August 10th, 1 week shy of his 100th birthday. And his name is Robert O.T. James, and he happened to have been my father-in-law. He's the father of my lovely wife, Evelyn. And Evelyn and I dated for almost 4 years before we got married. We've been married 26 years, and that's only one of the very wonderful gifts that Robert James has given me. He was a very, very outstanding man, very generous, very kind. I loved talking to him. Loved watching. I couldn't play worth a darn, but I loved watching him play dominoes, and he would play with my son and my nephew and my brother-in-law. And he'd talk about life. I remember when we were doing Boxing Spotlight, he would try to help. He really would. He would try to help and give us ideas where to go with the show. And some of his ideas were very, very good as well. So, but he was just a very kind man. One of my best memories of Robert James was actually he was alongside my father, Russell Williams, when we all went to Atlanta in 1996 for the Summer Olympic Games. And I think they had met each other. They had known each other, of course, because I know we had a party at one of our locations for my daughter who was celebrating a birthday, and both my dad and my father-in-law were both there. So they met before, they talked before, but it was just so wonderful to see them both there, along with my mother as well. But it was just so wonderful to see them both there together. I know one of the dreams that I had and actually my father and I both had, was to see the Olympics. And in 1996, we finally got to do it. And have Uncle Bobby, as I call him, Uncle Bobby, alongside was really great. And of course, my wife. And this was before we had kids. So it was one of the last big moments for us before we had children. And it was just tremendous, tremendous time for us. And I'm going to miss him. No question about that. We'd go down, my family and I would go down to Atlanta. And it was so wonderful for him to see the grandkids. He's got 6 grandkids all together. My 3 children, along with my brother-in-law and his wife's two kids, and my sister-in-law, my other sister-in-law's not child anymore, you guys. He's almost 30 now. But, he helped Jonathan, who was my nephew, who's the oldest grandson. My father-in-law helped raise him because he did not have a father. And between the great work that my sister-in-law did and the guidance from my father-in-law, Jonathan, my nephew, became a very, very wonderful man. And he's very successful. He's been in real estate. He's doing outstandingly in his work. And a lot of that had to do with the guidance that Uncle Bobby gave him. Another one of my cousins by marriage was also very on. He impacted so many people in our family's lives. And the interesting thing about my family and my wife's family, our families have been intertwined long before my wife and I got married. A number of my cousins who live in the same area where we live all went to school with a number of people in my wife's family. So they all knew each other even before we got married. And that made things very, very easy. But to say that Robert James was the patriarch of our family was an understatement. He ruled with kindness. He ruled with outstanding love and support. He was always there for us. Always. And he was a wonderful, wonderful man. Now, we're going to do a funeral service on Zoom. It'll be this coming Monday for us, which actually would have been his 100th birthday. Which is another ironic situation because when my father passed in 2006, we had his funeral on his birthday, December 6th. And now we're having my father-in-law's birthday on his funeral on his birthday, which will be Monday, August 17th. So I just wanted to pay a short tribute to him because he was an outstanding person. I loved him dearly. My family itself loved him because we all got to know him. My mom got to know him very well. And just a great, great person he was. No question about that. So I'm going to miss him. I love him dearly. Robert O.T. James. Wonderful person. No question about it. That'll do it for another edition of Beltway Boxing, Box on Beltway Podcast Network. Don't forget Box on Beltway Podcast Network. Brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. The pain relief now endorsed by two-time heavyweight champion Big George Foreman. Don't forget to try out his knockout formula on realtimepainrelief.com. And also we're brought to you by DeborahSpears.com. Great weight loss tips, great jewelry, great trading methods at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Thanks for joining us, everybody. My name is Gary Digital Williams, and thank you for continuing to support Boxing Along the Beltway. And always continue to support the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.